Hi, everyone, and welcome to Taking Up Space with Jordan. I'm your host, Jordan. I started this podcast as a way to inspire women everywhere to go after their dreams without guilt and without restraint. When I first started this podcast, or even on this more creative path that I'm finding myself on, I didn't know where it was going to lead. I thought maybe I'll do this podcast thing for a year, or maybe even only a couple months. I mean, I have ADHD, so things don't always last for long in my brain. But I'm so glad it did because I found a lot of joy from it. I started finding my voice, and slowly I've grown a little community. And from there, I started finding the courage to dream a little bit bigger, to maybe even finally realize a dream that I've always wanted. And I think that's how it happens for a lot of us, not in this one big, perfectly planned moment, but actually in the small, quieter ones that build on each other. Moments where we follow a curiosity or a feeling, and suddenly we look up and we realize that we're further along than we thought we would ever be. In all of the dreams that I have realized, or dreams that I hadn't even realized that I've reached, I found myself doing something that was unfair to myself. And I was waiting to feel proud until I hit arbitrary goals, almost like nothing had counted yet. Like everything I had done was just a placeholder for the real success. I found myself anxious and feeling like I'm not a real author because the money didn't come running in, or I didn't traditionally publish my book and it's not on the bookshelves. I didn't take the time to celebrate a thing that I had done and immediately went into, I have to wait for the next thing. And that mindset didn't just live in just one moment. It followed me. This past week, I found myself sitting in anticipatory anxiety, just waiting for what's next, waiting for validation, waiting for proof that I'm allowed to feel proud of what I've done. I realized, though, when people in my community wanted to celebrate me, that I had allowed ambition to steal something away from me, which was my joy. And that realization hit me harder than I expected because I had to sit with the fact that nothing external had taken that from me. I'd done it to myself. So let's talk about it. But before we get into the thievery, we need to slow down for a second because it's really easy to talk about joy in theory and never actually feel it. Take a moment right now. And from this moment, I want you to find just 5 minutes where you felt joy or whimsy. Maybe you remembered you didn't have to wait for your dinner to eat your dessert, or maybe you enjoyed a sunset walk, or just anything. Take a moment and remember that feeling. Let yourself sit in it for a second because that feeling matters than we give it credit for. It is a powerful resource that fuels us. And this week, I found a few moments of joy, actually, even though some of it was stolen. I found myself proud of how consistent actually that I've been with staying on my chores and my habits. Over the past few weeks, as someone with ADHD, consistency can be really hard. And normally I would have just brushed right past that. I would have said, okay, cool, what's next? And moved on. But I didn't this time. I let myself actually feel proud of it. A huge moment of joy, though, is that the night before this episode drops, actually, I get to be in a room of people who love me and want to celebrate me and my achievement of writing and self-publishing a book. And that is pretty damn spectacular. And even saying that out loud feels a little surreal. If you follow me on socials, you will probably see some pictures from the event hosted by my bestie. So just wanted to say that. So if you see those, you now know why. Anyways, that leads us back to our topic. Because when Bestie first told me that she wanted to do this very special thing for me, my first thought, unfortunately, wasn't, oh, that's so sweet. I love her. Thank you so much for doing that. It was actually, I don't deserve this because I didn't actually fulfill my dream. And that thought didn't come out of nowhere. It came from this belief that unless I've reached the final version of this dream, of the final evolution, it doesn't count yet. The goal is and will always be to see my book on the shelves of a bookstore and a library. I want to watch a complete and total stranger pick my book up, read the back cover, and smile, and then walk up to the register and buy it. That is the dream. But because I haven't reached that version of the dream yet, I almost disqualified everything else that I have done. Because of that ambition, that goal and dream, my joy was accidentally stolen, almost just given away. I allowed my ambition to get in the way of something so special, at least initially. And I don't think I'm the only one who does this, though. This is why it's so important, no matter what journey you are on, to always be checking in with yourself. Whether you're doing this via journaling, meditation, or just going on a walk, Being able to have an honest conversation with yourself is an incredible skill and superpower that we do not talk about enough. Because if you don't check in, you don't catch it. Because I have developed the skill set of being able to be honest with myself, flex, I realized what I was doing. I was allowing myself to get caught in the trap of I haven't fully succeeded yet, so I can't celebrate yet. And once I saw that pattern, I couldn't unsee it. I think this is a common thing for women specifically. It's why women are more likely to not apply for a job unless they hit all 10 requirements. Women are taught to optimize ourselves to the absolute maximum. If we are not optimizing or hitting every single checkbox, then we cannot celebrate. That's not true. Every milestone, no matter how big or small, deserves to be celebrated. And honestly, we need that celebration more than we think we do. And I wanted to talk about this sneaky joy stealer known as ambition because I wanted to show you that it happens to all of us. I hit a huge milestone of my dream, and yet I was sitting there 10 minutes after I'd done it and diving into the next milestone. I didn't even give myself the chance to process what a huge accomplishment that was. We can blame whoever we want. We can blame productivity culture, hustle culture, girl boss mentality, whatever. It's all the same shit, just rebranded. But it is up to us as the individuals who are going after these dreams to remember that every milestone is a worthy one. You do not tell a baby that just took their first shaky steps that they're a failure because they can't run. So why are we doing it to ourselves? The answer is going to be different for all of us, but the impact, it's going to look very similar. And this is where we come back to the main focus of this episode today, which is enjoying the life that you are currently building, even if you haven't hit the perfect dream yet. We are all just taking shaky, wobbly steps every single day to build our dream lives. But what I want us all to stop doing is ignoring those steps, minimizing them, acting like they don't count. This whole podcast was inspired by me wanting to help inspire women to build their dream life. But as we are coming up on 3 years of this podcast, I've learned the building phase is the most beautiful and fun, and also the most overlooked. And here's the secret. Here's the secret. And here's the secret. You never quite reach the end goal. Not really. There is always going to be a new dream, a new ambition, a new version of you that you want to step into. So why not start enjoying the building process? Enjoying the random coffee shop mornings where you plan your next 6 months out. It's the moments when you're walking your dogs and you become overwhelmed with the gratitude that your life is today. Because we are constantly changing dreams, discovering new parts of ourselves. It can feel like a goalpost that is always moving. But I'd like to reframe that. Because when we are caught up in the goalpost, goalpost mentality, what that actually is camouflaged as is I'll be happy when mindset. I'll be happy when I lose 10 pounds. I'll be happy when I have X amount of money in my savings. I'll be happy when, I'll be happy when, I'll be happy when. And that mindset will keep you chasing forever. Radical question. What if you were just happy now? What if you started teaching yourself that you don't have to earn rest, happiness, or safety, but instead can feel content in the life that you have now while also holding space for the things that you also want? Because we are complicated creatures and we can hold more than just one emotion. We can hold gratitude and desire. We can be angry and sad. We can be hopeful and also feel despair all at the same time. We can have ambition and still feel joy from what we have accomplished. The lives that we are building are complicated. They are not simple as we first dreamed because we gain new information. We discover new versions of ourselves, uncover old wounds, and we find new disappointments as well as joy. You don't know where you are going to be in 6 months. Think I'm lying? I want you to predict 5 things that are going to happen for you in the next 6 months. And this is not me saying that these 5 things are never going to happen for you. That's not at all what I'm saying. But I want you to come back to that note. So write that in like your notes, your phone app, put it on a Post-it that you'll see 6 months from now. And I want to see how right you are. I promise only 1 or 2 of those things is going to be accurate. Not because you're wrong, not because you're dreaming too big or dreaming too little, but because life doesn't unfold in straight lines. It unfolds in ways that we couldn't have predicted because the universe plays by her own rules. And if you open your life up to possibility, you're opening yourself up to doors, windows, or trap doors that you didn't even know existed. The reason I bring this up today is because last October, I didn't think I was going to be self-publishing a book. I thought I was sitting down to write a letter of my grief. to finally let go of all the pains and the wrongdoings, to start opening myself up to the possibility of maybe one day feeling somebody else's love. I remember coming home from vacation and there was no one there. Yes, my dogs were there, my cat was there, the house was clean, and there was something nice about being able to get into my own bed and not worry about somebody next to me. But there was also no one there to greet me. There was no one to say, wasn't that such a good trip? The next day, I didn't talk to a single person, and I felt almost forgotten, which is crazy. That I had been with these people for 10 to 14 days, and it wasn't that somebody had deliberately forgotten me. No, it was just the next day, and everyone was working on their own things. And it was nobody's fault. It wasn't mine for not reaching out or anything like that. But I felt alone, and I felt true loneliness in that moment. And I hadn't felt that deep loneliness in an incredibly long time. So I wrote that letter. And now I have a book, a romance book filled with hope and possibility. And writing that book healed more in me than I had realized. But 6 months ago, I didn't know I would be sitting here telling you that. This is why we have to start embracing the right now, the building moments. We can still want more and honor where we are. So how do you do this? How do you embrace your desire, but also live in the moment? You do it by following the joy and the whimsy and start romanticizing parts of your life. I've talked about romanticizing your life, so if you want to check out that episode, I highly recommend it. But you can start romanticizing the middle, not just the big moments, but learn to notice your routines, your progress, when you're healing, when your creativity hits on a random Tuesday, and honor those things. Honor when you're feeling peace, because those moments matter. When we become aware that we are experiencing peace, it becomes this almost out-of-body moment. Because you feel that, oh, shit, I never thought I could feel this right now moment. Other ways to romanticize the middle are getting out of your house if you can. Not just to spend money, but just to exist within humanity. Go on a walk without your headphones. Listen to the world around you. One of my favorite parts of my morning is listening to the world wake up. I wake up at 4:50 a.m. You don't have to, but the fact that I live near the ocean, I live near the sound here in Seattle. I hear the seals, I hear the eagles, and I hear the city starting to come alive. And I watch the sun rise over the city, and it reminds me that this is happening right now. There is a new day. It's also one of the main reasons, and I'll post a closer up picture if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, but I wear a necklace it's based off of a tarot card, but it's also just the sun rising. And it's just a reminder that there is always going to be another day. There's always going to be an opportunity that you may or may not miss. But it's the little moments that remind you why you are going after your dreams. The end goal is nice. It's fantastic. But the middle is where your life is actually existing right now. Our dream lives come from the sacrifices, the stumbles, the alignment, the safety, and the joy. They don't come from getting everything perfect. So be upset, be sad, be joyful, feel everything. And remember that all that energy, all of that emotion, it brought you to where you are right now. And stop speaking about where you are right now like it's a punishment, because it's not. One day, the version of you who is struggling right now may become the version of you that you miss. Don't rush through your becoming so quickly that you forget to actually live your life. Thank you so much for listening today. It was a bit on the earnest side, but I'm embracing that part of me. If you want to hear more from me, my newsletter is launching at the end of this month. It's going to be more personal, more unscripted, and sharing parts of my author journey, and I'm very excited for that. And if you haven't already, you can also check out my debut romance novel called All Parts of Me, a slow burn romance about a woman discovering love, hope, and possibility again. It's on Kindle, it's on my website, and the paperback is coming very soon. Thank you so much for listening. Embrace where you are today. You never know how thankful you're going to be for this version of you someday. Kisses.